Hello everyone, and welcome to the 31st episode of The Ruins of Warsaw. I'm Alexandra and I'm the storyteller.
Hi, I'm Dolores and I'm playing Janina of Clan Bruja.
Hi, my name is Faye and I'm playing Beatrice Wozniak of Clan Malkavian.
Thank you all so much for joining us for another episode in the story of now Bea and Janina. As always, we have partners in the chat and taking care of our technology, for which we are very grateful. And let's dive right in with a quick recap of what happened last time. We started when Janina left the church with Antoni and her sire Daniel after unfortunate and tragic events transpired there, partially at least due to her jumping to violence pretty quickly and attacking Antoni almost the moment he walked in on her meeting with the mortals, which resulted in the death of most of them, except Sarah, Janina's old crush, who got her memory erased, and Joanna, a nurse, who was given some vita by Antoni. After that, Janina rushed to catch up with Bea at Schachtmeyer School, where a meeting with Estera, Bea's sire's old friend, now in Sabbath, was taking place. The meeting was, of course, a trap, and was as such interrupted when people to Nosferatu, sent there by the Camarilla, attacked Estera. And in the resulting fight, Estera died diablerized by one of the Nosferatu, the Hound Clemens, who was in frenzy. And Bea, while she stopped her sire from interfering, could not stop that from happening, and also couldn't quite stop another Sabbat member who was there, Irmina, from escaping, although she came fairly close. Janina got there just after the fight, having reunited with Bea. They all, with Felicia, returned to Hotel Bristol, where Felicia disappeared in her room, not willing to speak to her child. And the rest of the session was spent on our two kindred dealing with their emotions and consequences of what happened. Janina had her talk with Antoni about how she reacted. And the guild, she also briefly spoke to the prince, who thanked her for what she's done for the Camarilla, and was invited by her primogen, Sigmund to come visit his workshop the following night. Bea reported to Cornelia what happened, and tried to speak to her sire, who did not answer the door, but was reassured by another Malkavian, Bruno, that her mother still cared for her and loved her. Bea was also informed that she should go see Venture Primogen the next night. And the next night, having fed, both kindred started heading off to their respective meetings. And we will start with Bea. You are in a car with Cornelia. It's not a long drive to the headquarters of the Central Committee of Polish Communist Party, where the Venture Primogen has his office. Cornelia is sitting at the back of a car next to you, wearing her elegant navy blue coat. She is fiddling with her glasses a little bit, glancing towards you. outside, you see few people walking past there. It is slowly getting later. People are beginning to disappear off the streets. It's not very late yet. But given the state of the city, a lot of spaces get emptied out at night. And as the car stops, Cornelia turns to you. How are you coping?
I guess the best I can say is I'm coping. I think it's going to be a difficult few evenings, but I'll manage. And thank you. And I give her a genuine smile.
She gives you a smile and a bit of a concerned, sympathetic look. I know what you had to do was painful, but it won't be forgotten. The offer of help, if you need it, still stands.
Thank you. Genuinely. And I close my notebook that I'd been occasionally scribbling in, writing a couple of notes, reading over my notes, and put it in my pocket.
Cornelia asks, are you ready to go inside?
Yes. I shouldn't keep him waiting.
She gives you a warmer smile. You have nothing to worry about, I assure you.
Thank you.
And she steps out of the car.
I will also get out.
And starts leading you inside a newly built building. It is all vaguely familiar as you enter. You know you've been here before. She leads you up the stairs and down the corridor.
As we're walking, I would like to spend a point of willpower to push through my foggy memories to remember what happened yesterday.
Of course, you can tell me all that happened yesterday.
And there's a slight shudder and a moment as I compose myself while still walking.
And you start walking towards the door, where you know you recognize the place. As where Venture Primogen has his office. And as you are still, a bit of a walk down the corridor from there, you see the door open. And you see Antoni, the Venture Hound, step out. He's just wearing a suit now, doesn't have his coat. He closes the door behind him. And starts walking towards you.
I'll give him a little bit of a shy smile.
He looks to you. He says, "Good evening."
Good evening, sir.
Cornelia smiles at him. "Good evening, Antoni. I trust your meeting went well." He looks to her for a moment. "Very well, thank you." And you see them just looking at each other for a moment.
Okay.
And then, well, I won't keep you any longer. I have to return to my duties.
Sorry, this is me, the player, failing with words here.
No problem.
Do you need to leave immediately, or could I speak to you after I've had my meeting? I wouldn't want to keep you from your duties if that's...
He was a bit surprised. Looks to Cornelia, and then says, I can wait, that's not a problem.
Thank you, sir. And I'll nod to him.
I'll be downstairs.
Thank you. And then I'll turn to Cornelia.
Cornelia sort of glances after him as he walks away along the corridor, but just for a moment, and looks back to you.
I look at her.
Gives you a smile.
Okay, I'm looking at her.
No, she doesn't say anything.
Okay. I think I feel a little, I don't know, not uncomfortable, but I don't know. There's something there that I'm not entirely sure how I feel right now.
All right. Cornelia just says, please wait a moment. And as usually, she knocks at the door, goes inside.
I stay a few paces away.
Which she invites you in. But herself stays outside the door.
Okay.
And you go in for your meeting with the venture primogen. But first, Janina. You're with Sigmund, your primogen, in the car, driving south from Otto Bristol. Sigmund isn't saying much, looking out the window.
I'm probably doing the same. I'm just looking, enjoying riding in the car.
And you are driving past the Łazienki Park, where the anarchs had their hiding place.
All right, I'm sure that when we are passing it, that I probably remember Mara and also Oscar. And that's probably what I'm thinking the rest of the way.
So you're thinking about them. And as you're still driving past the park, it's a pretty big park, Sigmund shakes his head a little bit, looks to you. So that is where Isidore was all this time, isn't it?
And I look at him and I nod, yes.
It just pains me so much that he wouldn't come to me, even in the time of need. It's not a surprise. He is a stubborn man, stubborn and impatient. Nevertheless, he was so close.
Well, I'm happy that at least you are with him again.
So
do you think he will stay?
Always difficult to tell with this one. He's been going off and coming back several times now. Every time wiser and learning. But so far, never quite wise enough not to live again.
Well, I'm glad that he's safe for now, at least.
He just smiles, and you see a little bit of amusement and a little bit of pride in his face as he is speaking. But he's still shaking his head. I'd like to think he's safe where he is, but he has a way of getting himself in trouble. You should understand what that's like.
I do. And I smile at him.
Smiles back at you.
If he's not saying anything, I will probably go back to watching the world from the window.
He's not saying anything more. For a moment, he looks like he might. But he just lets you sit there in peace. Do your thoughts go back to Mara and Oscar?
I think probably the night that happened. And I feel really bad. But I also feel like maybe it's good that Isidore is back with the Camarilla, at least for now, when the Sabbat is there. So it's like I'm conflicted.
And you drive a little bit further south after you pass the park. And eventually turn into a different, smaller street. And another one. And you see a street with quite nice looking houses and villas. Most of them are left not destroyed after the war. You see a plaque somewhere describing it as the Professor Street. And the car stops in front of one of the houses. It's not a very big house. It's a ground floor, one other floor. But it is very nicely preserved, nicely built, very elegant. Sigmund smiles at you. Here we are.
I will nod and I will open the door and get out.
He steps out as well and leads you towards the door.
I'm walking behind him, looking around, trying to imagine how it will look inside.
And he opens the door and you step inside. But first, there, you step inside the office of Stanisław Lubomirski, the ventral primogen. He's sitting in an armchair, not behind his desk, before it in a other section of the room. He's, as always, dressed in an elegant grey suit, and looks to you. A smile. Miss Wozniak, please sit down. I think you're muted, Faye.
Thank you. As I walk in the room, I do a respectful bow and then go and sit as instructed, firmly crossing my legs, hands in my lap.
Gives you a moment and says, I would like to congratulate you on successfully completing your mission. I heard there were some complications, but you did very well.
Thank you, sir. Yes, there were complications. I had hoped that we could bring Estera back alive. She would have been useful information. And and it would not have hurt my sire as much.
I also hoped so. How is your sire?
I take a moment to compose myself before I speak. She is with her broodmate at the moment. We'll talk later. And I'm very much looking at the floor as I say that.
He gives you a moment again, and then says, I understand it was a very difficult task for you, but it was necessary to ensure your sire's safety.
Of course. I understand. And I look him in the eyes as I say that.
What do you feel as you say that?
Oh, conflicted. There's this sort of aching, gnawing guilt from what I've done. And then also this level of pride in being recognized as having done something. And I also do feel that Felicia is safer this way, but I also recognize that I have broken her trust. So very torn. But I'm trying to keep a composed face.
And after a moment, Mr. Lubomirski continues. I don't deny it could be worthwhile to have captured her still alive, but I don't want you to think of what happened as a waste of effort or worthless. The Sabbat is dangerous, and killing one of them is always an accomplishment. It doesn't come easy.
Yes, sir. And as he says that, my gaze goes slightly more steely, slightly harder, in a sort of acknowledgement.
Looking at you, he is quite relaxed. Doesn't maybe quite smile, but there's a hint of a faint smile on his face.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure. I know you had your share of experiences with Sabbat. What is your reading on them? As a threat they pose.
Now, at this point, I think this gets a little complicated because I've got some memories, but not all of them. And I'd prepared for yesterday evening, not others. So there's a moment where I pause a little, not taken aback, but considering. And I will spend another point of willpower.
All right.
And as I do so, just kind of shudder as the hazy memories become more solid, more real. There's a slight gritting of the teeth, and my hand sort of moves to my stomach, where there's still this ragged claw marks that still haven't healed. I think that they have structure. I think that they have a level of organization. And there might be more branches. I don't know how to say this. I think there's maybe smaller groups. I think there are some relatively powerful kindred in there that are a concern. I say, thinking to the man who attacked us. I also think that they do seem to view themselves as having a mission, a priority.
He smiles at that. And there is a little bit of mockery to his smile. Yes, they certainly claim so.
Estera, during her conversation with my sire, mentioned that they're hunting a danger in the city.
In the city?
You
would remember that. No, you would remember that she was surprised when you mentioned the city. She talked generally about danger.
Okay.
Then you mentioned something in the city, and she was a little bit surprised by this.
Okay, I've misremembered. Yeah. Thank you.
No worries.
I just memory in and out. That's what happened.
Yes. And you did regain your memories, so yep. Bea would remember all that.
Scratch that. Don't say that then.
Yeah.
They wanted to bring my sire to speak with someone about the dangers in the city, or the dangers in general. I didn't trust them for a second, but there is a small part of me that is curious what that conversation would have looked like, but not that curious.
I believe I can enlighten you a bit in regards to that.
I sit up quite straight.
You see, the Sabbat. And they've been at it since times long forgotten by most of us. Believe that they are on a mission to save us from the end of the world, or the progenitors of all of us raising to destroy us. And you see a little bit of dismissal and mockery on his face as he said it. It's just amusement at the whole notion. It is, I admit, a good tale. Certainly useful for those who steer the Sabbat, to motivate them and steer them in the right way, because, as you very rightly noticed and observed, there is a structure to them. And regardless of what you might have heard them claim, there are elders behind the Sabbats who steer those easily impressed for their own goals. We don't know that much about them yet in this time and place, but we will learn more.
Yes.
I wouldn't be concerned with their tales. It's the same story, century after century.
I'd like to activate Eyes of Chaos, focusing on the Sabbat in the city.
All right. Is there anything specific that you are...
Their aim. Their current aim.
Their current aim. All right. Yes, roll for Eyes of Chaos. With difficulty... to get something more specific, I'd say difficulty 9.
Okay.
Okay, difficulty 8, maybe. Let's do that.
And that was perception.
That's perception and occult.
Occult. I have 2 successes.
Of 2 successes. So you concentrate.
Okay. Briefly shut my eyes, sort of putting my hand to my temple. Sorry.
Sabbath in the city. And at first, you get a lot of noise and anger, and it's almost like the physical manifestations of emotions that shake in front of you and shake you. And you see them forming fists and smashing at something. Looks a bit like a hotel where you're staying. But it's just a little bit of background noise. And behind it, you see a shadowy figure in a black robe, just a contour of this figure. And you see a shadowy hand stretch out and reach for something very bright inside the hotel. Something shining, some idea.
Sorry. I am just trying to focus on what their goals might be. I think they're planning something to do with the hotel.
He nods his head.
I see, outside of the usual brutish rage and pummeling at the hotel, I'm seeing a dark figure stretching out a hand, reaching for something shining bright, something inside the hotel. I don't yet know what it is.
He nods his head. I expected that would come sooner or later. We are aware they might want to attack. They are, after all, lasting after a more powerful blood. Blood of the elders the most. That has always been their goal. Wouldn't be surprised if it drove them right now.
I resist the urge to shudder. Very well.
Are there any other concerns relating to them that you have? Any questions?
Will Clements be okay?
Not his. No harm will come to him from the Camarilla.
Thank you. I think that is, I guess, what's next.
Gives you a smile. Smile. I have to consider our next steps in the light of everything that happened.
Of course.
But I see a very bright future ahead of you, Miss Wozniak, and look forward to working with you again.
Thank you, sir. I look forward to working with you as well.
You are welcome to come see me if you come across anything that you would find beneficial to our cause, or if you desire any further insights. I'm sure Miss Ostrovska can arrange it.
Thank you very much, sir. That's a generous offer.
You may go now if there's nothing else.
Thank you, sir.
We will be in contact. Please stay well, Miss Wozniak.
Thank you, sir. You too. And I'll bow again as I leave.
And you leave. What's going on through your head as you're leaving?
There's a mixture of trying to take comfort in the words that he has said about the Sabbat, but there's this feeling in the background that I feel like there's something missing, and I feel like I don't want to say that he's being overly dismissive, but there's something about what's going on at the moment that doesn't sit right with me. But I'm glad to have done my duty and to have done well and be recognized for it. So there's a certain pride there. And then there's also the crushing weight of guilt and wondering whether I will be good enough in future.
Well, I would say that for all you've done, you can regain 2 points of willpower easily, unless you think Bea would not.
I think that having completed this task, given the difficulties, I think there would be a regaining of willpower. But yes,
Yeah.
Just at what cost? Quietly close the door behind me as I leave.
Meanwhile, Janina, you enter the house of Sigmund Ray, your primogen. And you see a hall and stairs leading to the first floor. Sigmund takes off his coat, shows you where you can hang yours.
I'll do. I copy him. So if he puts out his clothes, I will do it.
Here we are. Let me show you around.
It's a very nice place.
Glad it survived intact. Have been very fortunate in that. Come, let me show you some of what I've been working on. And you see a good spark of interest in his face. And he leads you. He opens a door to the side, and you see the stairs leading down to the basement. And he leads you down there, telling you about the machines he's been working on. And as you step in to the first room of the basement, you hear a little bit of buzzing sound in there from the mechanisms that are there. You see there is a lot of wires, a lot of cables. There's various machines. There's component of machines laid on some tables, mechanical and some electrical. And the main piece is quite a big machine on a table, underneath which there are 2 big, massive discs in aluminium casing, with a space between them to put something in On the table, there are two boxes with knobs, scales, and analog displays. Sigmund just gestures to it. Remind me, Janina, do you take much interest in technology?
Oh, well, I don't have much experience with technology, but I'm eager to see what it's all about. You certainly know a lot about it. I'm curious.
Well, this is a very clever new invention for studying chemical reactions and identifying the radicals that are left of the result. It performs electron paramagnetic resonance spectroscopy. And he goes off a little bit in just a very technical description.
I nod and smile. But I guess I just don't know what he's talking about, except like very vaguely.
He gets a little bit technical for a moment, and then sort of stops, and then says, well, I'm sorry, but what might be of interest to you is that some hypothesize that this type of technology could be used to get an insight into what's happening inside the body if you were to inject a person with particular molecules.
Oh, intriguing.
Well, I was very lucky to procure parts to build this. Had to use papers, both Soviet ones and British ones, but I managed to gather insights. But let me show you some more things. And he leads you to another room in a basement. What are you feeling? How are you responding to all this?
Well, I'm certainly glad that for a moment I can just take my mind off like hard things and just like pretend that I'm just someone who has a very geeky friend.
He's nerding out.
Yeah, so I'm trying to genuinely enjoy and be curious about, because there's like part of me that like is interested, but more like because I know it will take my mind off things that more than I would really be like into that stuff. It's a good distraction.
A good distraction. And he leads you to another room in a basement. It's also a big room. And here you see another massive machine. This time it is a grid of rods and discs mounted on those rods, just spread on the table flat. On one side of the grid, you have some devices that look like they are spinning the rods, and on the other, there are panels and consoles. And Sigmund smiles. This thing also I'm very proud of. It's a computing device, differential analyzer, very useful for solving differential equations for modern physicists. I might donate it to the university in a while, anonymously, of course.
Well, you're certainly been busy.
Well, it's always been an interest of mine. And we live in truly exciting time. Some great inventions and technologies happening all around the world.
Does someone help you, or is this all you with your brain?
I can't claim credit for all the inventions. I read papers from scientists around the world whenever I can get them. Both of these I recreated from the plans and descriptions in scientific publications I was able to procure.
That is still impressive.
Come. I'll show you a few more things. I believe I might have, well, some more things that might be of interest.
Of course, I would love to see everything.
And he leads you up the stairs from the basement. And then he leads you up to the floor of his house. And he shows you a few more devices. He shows you a telescope connected to an electronic board that he has in front of a slightly tilted window positions to observe the sky. He shows you some strange alloy in a color of coal, but surface looking metallic to touch under the microscope, and comments that it doesn't occur in nature, it is created by humans. He shows you also a box with 2 tape reels, some writing on it in German. He comments that this is a tape recorder for recording your voice. Useful when you want to keep your observations and have them freshly recorded. And he will show you and play you back a little bit of his voice. And you hear the recording of him talking a little bit about this alloy. You don't really understand what he is saying. It is very technical. But you see this machine that records the voice. And after that, he leads you through another door, still on the first floor, into a living room, where you see some armchairs. You see a lot of shelves with books spread around the room. You hear radio that is playing in this room. There is some classical music being played there right now. And he gestures to one of the armchairs. Now, you got a little bit of a tour. Please take a seat.
Oh, sure. Then I will take a seat and just sit there and look around.
You look around the living room and you see it's very, like, most of the walls are bookshelves, so there isn't that much of the decoration. But on one wall, opposite where you're sitting, it is left just as a wall, and you see 2 paintings there. One is a painting of a very young-looking blonde woman with blue eyes, looking very serious and sad. And another one, you see several soldiers in 19th century style blue navy and yellow uniforms. And you see one of them has a black hat with black feather and is gesturing as if leading the other ones. And you recognize the face of Isidore on that painting.
Aww. I probably linger on that painting a bit longer. Maybe smile a bit.
And he smiles as well. Oh yes, my child. Always a rebel.
It's a beautiful painting.
I'm glad he had it commissioned then before he went off on one of his many rebellions, uprisings. I believe he's growing into a better leader with every single one. But he has a long way to come still. And you see a little bit of pride on his face and a smile.
How old is he? I mean, how long have they been a kindred?
Oh, a bit over 100 years now. He's always been troublesome one. Took a long time to adjust to our existence.
Do you have any other child?
Not anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's quite all right. It's unfortunately a fact of life, given our condition.
So here's where you spend most of your time, free time.
When I can get away from Hotel Bristol.
It's a good place. Nice. Nice that you can keep yourself occupied.
You're welcome to come here if there's anything you want to study.
Oh, if you have any books that you think might be of interest in me, I'm not as technically inclined as you are. So I wouldn't advise you to let me help you around these things, but maybe I can read something and
I have something that I believe could be of interest to you.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Please wait a moment.
Sure, of course.
And he walks off and you see him go into a different room and you hear him move through and shuffle.
I will probably
books.
get up and go close to that painting and try to look more closely at it. Smiling.
So you look at Isidore in an old 19th century uniform, leading some people. Meanwhile, Bea, Cornelia smiles at you as you leave and leads you down the stairs. Antoni is waiting there. You see him standing in the main hall, glancing up from time to time, standing sort of very stiff.
As I'm approaching, but not quite close enough yet, I'd once again like to activate Eyes of Chaos. And I guess there's part of me that's wondering whether his clemency to Janina yesterday, with what was going on with that. I guess I'm trying to figure out more about him.
You're trying to figure out more about him. Okay. Roll Eyes of Chaos. I think for him is difficulty 7 at this point.
Okay. Okay, 5 successes, I guess.
5 successes. Okay.
The heart knows what it wants.
Right. Okay. You get 5 successes. As you're walking towards Antoni down the stairs. Sure, why not? Let's go for it. And you see him standing there. You fixate on him, trying to learn more about him. And suddenly, you see his face covered in blood and dirt smeared around it. You see fear in his eyes and determination. You see him shouting something to somebody, crawling in the mud, wearing some sort of uniform. You see him listen to someone that is being shouted to him, change his directions with the same determination and focus in his eyes. And you see him later in a suit, in his long military coat that he wears, clean shaven, clean face, bowing and nodding with the same determination in his eyes, listening to the words and following them. And you learn that his nature is soldier. And you learn, as you look at him further, you learn you see him among the city that is being turned to ruin, with the same focus and determination, standing and unable to act. And you see him look to Janina with almost jealousy. And you learn that he appreciates what she did during the war. And you get a glimpse on the pain inside him.
I almost regret doing this now because there's something very familiar about his nature. Something about the focus and the determination that feels very familiar to me. And I sort of shake myself as we're sort of arriving and him coming back to and trying to shove all of that to the side whilst feeling a little overwhelmed.
You and Cornelia get downstairs. She looks to Antoni and to you. I'm afraid I should be getting back to Hotel Bristol.
Of course.
But I believe Mr. Bielecki can give you a ride. And he says, of course.
Thank you. I give them both a polite, if hesitant smile.
Jesus says, I'll be there if you need me, Miss Wozniak.
Thank you very much.
Antoni, have a pleasant night. You too. And you see maybe a little bit of them almost being too smiley with each other. But then she walks off.
Okay. I'm not going to try and unpack that.
Of course.
I think I've dug into his business quite enough as is. Once Cornelia is sort of out of regular earshot, I will turn to him with a relatively serious expression. I understand that you made the decision yesterday to not go into too many details as to what happened.
Indeed.
I appreciate you did that, and I simply wanted to say if there's ever anything you need, please let me know.
Thank you. I will remember that. How is Janina?
Coping as best she can, I say. How are you?
Similarly.
I think as he says that, there's maybe a little too much understanding on my face.
I understand you've been through a lot as well last night.
Yes, that's one way to put it. There's been a lot of it going around by the sounds of it. But I did my duty. And I look away to the side briefly and then refocus.
He just says as well to that. It's the best we can try to do. And he also looks to the side. And then, come on, let's get out of here. I'll give you a ride.
Thank you. And I follow after him, feeling a little awkward.
After him, he opens the door for you, lets you inside the car.
Slightly nod my head and get into the car.
Get into a car, there's the driver who starts driving you towards Hotel Bristol.
Is Anthony in the front or is he in the back?
No, he's with you in the back.
Okay. There's a brief moment where I feel like I want to say something, but don't know what to say or where to begin. So I end up sort of looking out the window. Occasionally fiddling with the locket around my neck.
And he's looking straight ahead, leaning against the seat. You see a little bit of tiredness on his face now.
I think I stay relatively quiet for the rest of the ride and just appreciate the moment of calm.
And enjoying that moment of calm and relaxation, as small as it may be, to drive back to Hotel Bristol. Meanwhile, Janina, Sigmund comes back with some papers, finds you staring at the portrait of Isidore. I see you're fascinated. Is there something more you want to ask?
No, I just look, trying to see someone who I know in real life on a painting, on an old, beautiful painting. There's just something fascinating about this.
He glances briefly to the other painting of a woman. I suppose that is something we have left as memories. Things change and we change.
Yeah. Did he gifted you this painting?
Not quite. He wanted me to destroy it.
Oh, so you put it up here. Did he know it that it's hanging here?
Of course he does. I wouldn't lie to him like that.
What?
He wanted to destroy everything to do with his mortal life.
Right.
is so much anger and restlessness in this one. You should have seen him when he left us last time. He fell out with the prince quite badly. Did you hear about that?
I don't think so.
I see he doesn't talk of his exploits. At least he offended her quite severely.
What did he do?
Well, protested some of her decisions in a manner, let's just say, that doesn't belong in the civilized society.
Did he punch her?
No, thankfully. But she was so close to invoking tradition of distraction. I saw it in her eyes.
Well, I'm glad it didn't end like this for him. And
So-
now he's back, at least temporarily.
So do I. Luckily, I was able to dissuade Katarzyna from this. I'm glad he seems to have learned a little bit better behavior.
Did he have to apologize?
Oh, of course, as you would expect any polite person. I know
see.
we are known for our tempers, but, well, that is known and understood. It should not be an excuse to let
Yes.
yourself, well, act in a manner that might offend others too much.
That's fair.
But that's not what I wanted to talk to you about at all.
Yeah. So,
I here, and he starts handing you some of the papers and then hesitates. What languages do you speak, Janina?
well, Polish and, well, that's maybe slightly German, but only like very basic.
Well, I'm afraid I only have those in Russian, French, and English. But maybe Nastya will be able to help you with translation. I understand she speaks at least two of those.
Oh, yes, I think she speaks Russian.
Of course. Anyway, this is something that should be of interest. It comes from the medical fields.
Oh, that's
A technology developed by two men in the Soviet Union, Shamov and Yudin. They experimented, you see, with transfusion of blood from recently deceased donors and storing this blood in, well, a blood banks of sorts in case it was needed. Of course, what they had in mind was medicinal use, but I'm sure you see the possibilities.
yes, I do. And I will take the books and papers that he gives me.
He sits in one of the armchairs, quite comfortably looking to you. Imagine if we could sustain ourselves in that way. How much easier it would make everything, especially for young ones like you.
Yes, definitely easier. But I hope it wouldn't like make other kindred try to kill more people so we had more blood.
Well, I suppose those who would be so inclined wouldn't be particularly interested in such an enterprise anyway.
I hope so.
You seem very skeptical, Janina.
No, I just don't know yet, but I mean, everything that makes it easier for us to survive without causing much more harm, that it is appreciated. I will definitely look into it and ask Nastya to provide some translations.
Please do, if we could set up something like this, even to supplement our need. That would be a great step forward for all
Yes.
of our kind.
I agree. Thank you so much for letting me look through these.
He hands you the papers. What do you think of Camarilla, Janina? How are you settling in?
Oh, well.
Don't worry. There's no curious ears around here.
I know. I mean, honestly, I think Camarilla is a good place to be right now because there is the Sabbat. But honestly, if I could choose, I would, if there wasn't this threat, I would prefer just to be somewhere else without having to. I mean, I like the company of a lot of the kindred there frequent out of Bristol. And I smile at him. You included.
He gives you a smile.
But
I would certainly hope so.
But it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of social pressure. And sometimes it feels trapping, like I'm trapped, but it's hard to explain. Like no one has been treating me badly, I think quite otherwise, but there is just something that I feel like I would feel better if I was somewhere, just me and Bea and Daniel and Felicia, and I sigh a bit with this.
Gives you a smile at that.
Well, she is family, I guess.
Yes, Camarilla can indeed be stifling, especially for the young ones and especially those of our blood.
But I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to be at the safe place right now, and I really am happy that I get to meet so many people that I consider some of them my friends.
There is both safety and certain comforts in numbers. And
Yes.
I know that some of what you have countered might seem, well, somewhat unpleasant, at least to you. Camarilla and our Prince Katarzyna are very focused on survival right now. And I understand it is a necessity. But I myself hope that it could be made something more, something better.
Like what?
Some say there used to be a time when us and mortals lived in harmony before that place and that age got lost to time. Many tried to recreate it since. So far, I haven't heard of a successful attempt, but I would very much like to try to at least set some bricks.
Do you think
building stones towards that goal.
the prince would be interested in that?
Well, she seemed to respect my opinion so far.
That's
And he
fair.
smiles at that, a little bit slyly. Katarzyna is still young for a prince, and very driven.
How
I
long do
believe
you know her? Sorry that I interrupted you.
Oh. Well, we've both been around for several centuries. He says and he smiles.
Are you friends?
I like to think so, yes.
Good.
As I said, she's very driven and very ambitious. She wants to build something. I believe once the survival of our community in the cities ensured, she will turn her attention to contributing more to her legacy and to what she's built. And then we can try to remind her of what could be and maybe was. That's how I like to see the role of her clan, reminding others to look further than survival and short-term influence.
Well, I like that. It sounds very ambitious, but also, I guess, honorable.
I'm glad you think that. I would very much appreciate any help I can get from others of my clan in that goal.
Well, if there is anything a neonate like me can help you with, I'm free to ask.
The research I've given you,
Yes, I will.
try to translate it with Nastya. If we could start setting something up, maybe that could be something
Sure.
for you to focus on.
Yes, that's a very good idea. I need something to occupy my mind, and this seems like a good thing to concentrate on, so I will get right to it when I meet with Nastya back at the hotel.
I have something I'd like you to give her.
Of
And he
course.
stands up, goes to one of the bookshelves, looks there for a moment, takes one book, and hands it to you. I promise to give it to her. And it's a book written in Russian. You see this, you recognize some of the letters from when Nastya taught you.
What is on the cover of the book?
Would Janina be able to read it?
I mean, is there no picture or anything?
No, there's no picture, no.
Okay. All right.
Sigmund isn't handing out picture books, I'm afraid.
No, I mean on the front.
No, it's just a
Okay.
very sort of boring
All right.
cover. And the name in sort of golden letters of the author and some title. And he sees you looking at it. It's some research coming from Russia, I believe, to do with nervous system and conditioning.
All right. Thank you. I will give it to her.
Is there anything else you'd like to ask about? Anything else you'd like to know?
I guess I ask quite a lot of questions about a lot of kindred, so consider gossip enough. I don't think I there is anyone else I would like to ask about. But then maybe I glance towards the other picture on the wall and maybe linger on that woman's face for a bit longer. But then I look back at Sigmund and I'm not saying anything.
He was looking at the picture as well at the time. Looks to you. I see you wondering. That long time ago was my wife.
Oh, she was beautiful. And I sincerely mean it. Because I think she was very beautiful.
She looks very pretty, yes. And you see a little bit of sadness on his face and some longing.
Well, I'm happy you have a painting and memory of her.
So do I.
What was her name, if I may ask?
Ursula.
Beautiful name.
And you see him drift into autumn memories for a moment.
I will let him.
Janina, you're welcome to stay and explore if you want to read, or I can have someone drop you off. Or somewhere else.
I probably should go back to meet with Bea and to also drop all these books.
Of course. You are always welcome here.
I will definitely.
Maybe you want to learn.
Yeah, maybe we can go back here with Nastya someday so we could study here in peace.
You're both very welcome.
Thank you.
And he leads you downstairs and to the car, where you see the man who drove you here. He now went into one of the rooms on the ground floor, but Sigmund knocks and instructs him to take you back to Hotel Bristol. And you're taken into a car.
And grab all of my books.
Yes. Well, what he gave you is like one book for Nastya, and the other things it's like pages that kind of stapled together from different journals. But there is quite a lot of papers that you have. And you start driving back north towards Hotel Bristol.
I'll probably look through the books because I can't read much, but I'm just like looking and trying to figure out if I can understand something or not.
Some words you recognize from, like maybe not, with Cyrillic, but from the French and English papers, some of the words that you've seen in, medical context, you do recognize. So while you might not be able to quite read it, you definitely see some of the familiar terminology.
Yes, so that occupies me for the rest of the ride.
And meanwhile, Bea, you get to Hotel Bristol. You get out with Tony outside the hotel.
I'll slightly nod my head to him. Thank you, sir.
No problem at all.
Right. I suppose I should go see what trouble Union has gotten herself into.
He smiles very faintly at that. I certainly hope. Shakes his head.
I think I share the sentiment. So he's slightly staring into the distance.
You both stay well, please. And out of trouble.
And you too. And I give him a warm smile.
And he smiles at you, and he starts heading inside the hotel. Do you also head inside?
Mm-hmm.
Where will you be heading?
I think for now I'll head up to Elysium. Because I don't want to go back near the rooms right now. Although if I do see Felicia in the room, then in the lounge, then I might just retreat. But we'll see.
Yeah. So you start heading towards the lounge while Anthony excuses himself and he heads somewhere else into a corridor.
Mm-hmm.
And Janina, you are driving past Łazienki Park again.
I probably don't look out much because I look at the papers, so I don't think I even notice it.
So you focus on the papers. And heading back to Hotel Bristol. And I think this is a good time to take a short break. Thank you everyone who's been watching. We will be back in about 15 minutes. See Bea and Janina hopefully reunite at Hotel Bristol. And have some more interactions with kindred there, I presume. So I'll see you in about 15 minutes. Please stay with us.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Piano in the moment. You do see Rahela talking to Eliza. You do see Fabian, the toreador, speaking with Cornelia sitting near Mihail and talking to him and to her. You see Nina sitting there nearby, near Stefania, who is usually there as well. And you see from other people you would recognize a person you would recognize as Nosferatu Dominic, wearing his human face that he usually puts on. And with him is a woman you don't quite recognize, with dark brown hair in that, wearing a quite elegant black dress and a handbag. And they're talking. Is there anyone you wish to speak to? Is there anyone you're looking for?
I think maybe on the way to the lounge, I might have seen if I could pick up sort of a newspaper or something.
Yes, there would be a newspaper on one of the tables.
Okay. In which case, I'll sort of look around, see if anyone's sort of looked up to try and get my attention. If not, I might go and sit nearby to Rahela and Elisa. Not to intrude, but if they want to talk to me, they can.
So before you get there, actually, the woman who was talking to Dominic starts heading towards you.
Okay. Slightly panicked inside my head, but
I believe you do not recognize me, but we've met yesterday night. Ada.
It's good to see you again, Ada, under better circumstances.
Indeed, I thought I'll introduce myself properly. Not in a hurry.
Yes. I'll quietly ask her, how is he?
Processing. I believe it will take a few nights at least.
Of course.
But he has space and calm to do that for now.
Okay. How are you?
Healing, but I wasn't as hurt as, well, he was in a way. How are you?
Also processing, I think. I give her a polite smile. I'll be all right.
I hope so. And she gives you a warm smile.
At which point my smile gets a little like warmer and a little less sort of polite mask. And I'll sort of nod to her and quietly excuse myself.
And she will not insist on continuing the conversation. She goes back to the meeting, starts talking to him, see them smiling at each other. And you sit by Rahela and Eliza. They nod at you.
I give them a smile. But if they turn back to their conversation, then I'll read the newspaper. That's if they do include me, then that's fine.
So you read the newspaper, and you see some news about the rebuilding of the city. He had plans to build another bridge near the old town, and that they're already underway. You find an article on several deaths, something crime related, possibly some saboteurs against the communist government in the Praga district. You find few other stories of violence and murder in the city. You glance, there are some advertisements put out by people who are looking for somebody they lost during the war, with contact details, numbers to call.
Are there other... Sorry, let me restart that sentence. Are there any other advertisements in there as well?
I suppose there would be. There is quite a lot of propaganda for the new government, a lot of slogans about working class and peasants, rebuilding after the war. There's some, I suppose, advertisements for some products, but very little. It's mostly people looking for their loved ones.
As I'm going, I'm occasionally sort of very carefully tearing out articles that seem of interest. I think especially around the Praga district, and sliding them into my journal so that they're kind of there as a reference. And just otherwise, once I finish going through that, I'll sort of sit back and take in the room.
You catch Rahela as you're doing this, observing you. She just gives you a smile and comes up a bit closer. Are you all right?
Yes, just collecting.
She just nods her head, of course.
How are you doing?
She glances to Eliza, who just smiles at her. Managing somehow.
Of course.
Tony asked me to talk to my brother. He said you and Janina recommended it. Thank you.
Right, yes. I'm glad we could help with that.
It's good to have some contacts at least.
Of course. Staying close to family is important.
Yes, and to people like Antoni.
I look at her a little curiously.
You know, he's a hound. Quite respected.
Could I try and read into what she's saying?
Yeah. Do you want to use your...
Just looking at her expression. I'm just the bog standard, like, empathy.
Yeah, absolutely. Roll your perception and empathy. Yeah, sure.
For once, I'm just looking at her.
I'm just so used to you using that.
I know.
You're not using your Malkavian skill?
Sorry, what was my difficulty here?
A 6.
Okay. One removes that, so that's 3 successes.
3 successes. So you see a little bit as she says it. She's a little bit embarrassed, maybe, that she expressed that. But there is some kind of tension there and longing and almost anxiety driving it all.
Okay. Is it sort of to do with him being a hound, or?
It's not necessarily with him being a hound that sort of brings her comfort.
Okay.
It's just more anxiety driving her interest in him as such.
Okay. Yes, well, he seems a very focused individual.
I believe he's...
And then I find myself drifting back to the insights that I gained into him earlier this evening. And slightly zone out of the conversation for a little bit.
She's just sitting there, sort of observing you. You are doing well. You're managing very well in a way. Although my sire says it must hurt.
Yes. I suppose I am. To both. But it's important to get the work done.
She nods her head. He's trying to make it all right for you.
I'll need to thank him. And I'll need to speak to Felicia sooner than later. And then I'll give her a slightly shaky smile.
And she smiles at you. And she just sits there. She doesn't necessarily seek further conversation. She's observing the room.
And I'll join her in that, sort of quietly observing.
So you're observing. You see Dominic and Anna still in conversation, smiling at each other. They seem quite at ease. You see Stefania talking to Nina, and Nina just listening. She glances towards you a few times and gives you a smile, but then her attention goes back to Stefania.
I gave her a smile back when able to.
And you see Cornelia smile at you as well, and she catches your eyes, but she is talking to Fabian now. Mihai is just sort of relaxing now, also looking around the room, and at some point your eyes meet. He just smiles and nods.
I also smile and nod politely.
Meanwhile, Janina, you arrive back at Hotel Bristol.
Right, I'm gonna go first to my room to drop the books, and then I will try probably to, if Bea's not in our room, then I will head to the lounge to look for her.
She's not in the room, but you find her in the lounge. And you see Janina enter.
I smile.
Smile, slightly wave at her and approach, sit next to her.
Did you have a good meeting?
Yeah, it was relaxing. Sigmund is a very interesting man. I will tell you later, and I'll wink at her.
I am intrigued and a little confused.
What about you?
Productive.
Have you seen Felicia yet?
No, I think I'm working up the courage.
I understand. What are you doing? And I will look at what she's doing with the newspaper.
The sort of torn up newspaper. And I slightly open my journal and show her the newspaper clippings, and then close it, not feeling the need to explain too much.
Just nothing. So, do you want to sit here for a while longer? Or go back to our room? Or...
I suppose I should see whether Felicia's willing to speak to me.
All right. Do you want at least walk me to the room?
Please. Yes. And I give a warm smile to Rahela and to Lisa.
I will smile at them as well. I guess I smiled at them and nodded.
I smile at you and nod
when I saw them.
And head out, nodding to those that I feel close-ish to.
I maybe just quickly glance around the room if Nastia's there.
She's not there at the moment.
Okay, then.
But you see Dominic wave at you slightly.
I smile and wave at him back and follow Bea out.
When you head out of the Elysium, are you heading towards Felicia's room?
Yep. I'm just feeling the anxiety building with every step that I take.
It's going to be okay, Bea. I'm sure she still loves you. Just be yourself and tell her how you feel. And express that you regret it if you do. I'm sure she will understand. If you need me, I'm just going to be a few rooms away.
Thank you. I'm going to make a self-control check to be able to touch Janina.
Go for it, difficulty 6.
I have 3 successes.
No problem at all.
So I briefly reach out and just squeeze her arm.
I will place my hand on your shoulder and squeeze back. It's going to be okay. You got this.
Thank you. Right. And I'll head to the door.
And I wait. I'll stand like a few steps behind it, but I wait until Bea goes inside. In case, Felicia didn't open, so...
We'll find out.
You knock at the door.
Very lightly. Very hesitantly.
You hear footsteps. Some voice inside on the door opens. And you see a man. I'm not sure if you remember being there when the school or company came here. Open the door. And he just gestures for you to come in.
I do so.
Pauses, glances to you, Janina.
I'm going to leave, and I will nod and leave as soon as Bea goes inside.
And he just closes the door, and he stands by it. And as you enter Bea, you see Felicia and Bruno sitting on a bed. He has his arm around her. His cane he walks with is lying on the bed next to him, in the reach of his other hand. And Felicia turns to you. Bea, my dear, it's lovely to see you.
I think I'm barely holding it together at this point. And I'll cross the floor quite quickly to get to her and just kneel in front of her. And I'm going to make another self-control check.
Go for it. It's difficulty 5 for Felicia.
I have 2 successes.
Yes, absolutely. What do you want to do?
I'd like to reach up and take her hand.
She lets you. She tenses a little bit. You feel a little bit of attention as you touch her hand.
I'm so sorry.
She closes her eyes for a moment. Bites her lip. You feel her shaking. And then she smiles again. Oh, of course you did what you had to do.
I'd like to read her expression as well.
Roll perception and empathy.
Because I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. What was my difficulty? 6? Okay. Does insightful apply?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay. Oh God, how do 10s work in this?
It is double.
Okay, 1, 2. So that's 4 successes.
4 successes. Yeah, that's more than she got. So you see, she's smiling at you, and she's presenting this facade, and there is somewhere in her this thing that recognizes you and wants to react to you, but there is also a distance and coldness. And there is some kind of almost annoyance at seeing you underneath it as well.
And I think at that, my heart just kind of breaks. I'm sorry to have disturbed you, Mother. I'll leave you be.
Oh no, my dear, I'm just very busy right now. Me and Bruno, we have to find the primogen, you know.
Of course.
But I'm glad to see you. Please stay safe.
Thank you, Mother. And
you see that she's not entirely lying? There is, a bit there that does want you stay safe, especially with that.
Mm-hmm.
But there is fakeness there, definitely.
And I bow my head to her in a slightly more deferential way than I normally would, and then turn and leave. And head out the door, shut it behind me, and then head to Janina's room, only barely holding the tears in.
Janina, once you get to your room, what do you do?
I'm probably like look out of the window, look maybe like tidy a bit, like the papers and like maybe like the bed, because I don't know what else to do. And I also like there's a bit of like anxious about how Bea's meeting with Felicia goes. And I just think that I'm going to wait for her if it won't take too long, because I don't feel like going to the Elysium myself. Nastya wasn't there, so so I'm just waiting.
It doesn't take very long, and Bea, you arrive at the door.
I'll knock.
Well, I come up to the door and open like slightly. If she doesn't like says that it's her.
Oh, I don't. My voice is going to crack the moment I start talking, so I'm very much just standing there silently.
And as soon as I see it's you, I just open the door and just, oh my God, that was quick. And I like let her inside and close the door behind us.
I then head straight through to the bathroom and just curl up on the floor and start crying.
Well, I will stay behind the door. I will give her some privacy and just sit next to the door. And
I haven't closed it.
Okay. So I'm going to sit inside. I still want to give you space, so I'm just going to sit there and I'm so sorry, Bea. Did it went so bad?
I suppose it could have gone worse.
It's all right. I would hug you, but I don't know if you want to.
I've ruined everything.
You did not.
I have.
Did she told you that? What happened?
She didn't have to. She said all the right words. She said everything she normally says. But she doesn't mean it anymore.
Maybe she's still mad, you know. Just give her time. I'm sure she's still, deep down, she still loves you. I'm so sorry. I wish I knew something I could tell you to make it go away, but there isn't much. But I don't really think that it's your fault. You didn't kill Estera.
I promised her something.
What did you promise her?
I don't remember. I promised her something and I broke that promise.
I guess it has to be something to do with Estera's safety. What else could it be?
It's probably that, but...
Well, I also promised Leonard that I will keep his friends safe, and most of them are dead. So, I mean, it's hard to keep promises.
She's my mother.
I know. But that's exactly why she's always going to love you. She's just processing the loss of, I guess, someone who was important to her. But she will realize that she still have you, and you also are important to her. And she will come back to you. And maybe it will not be tonight or in a few nights, but after a while, she's going to be the same mother that you loved and that loved you. I'm sure she forgives you. It's hard sometimes.
Can you remind me of this?
I will.
I'm scared I'm not going to remember.
I will always remind you. But I don't want to say promise because but I will try my best to be there for you. And no matter what you would do, I would always forgive you, no matter what you did. And I'm sure Felicia feels the same. It might hurt, she might be angry, even disappointed, but deep inside she loves you. It just might take some time for her to start feeling it again more strongly.
I hope you're right.
I know I am. I know Felicia for some time, and I know that you are the most important thing for her. She is just processing the grief of losing her friend. So it's natural that she's not going to feel forgiving and just going to be the same and forget everything. But I'm sure that deep inside she still cares about you. And she knows that you didn't mean to do any harm. I mean, you did what the Camarilla asked you to do, and that's what she always wanted you to do, to be good at doing Camarilla stuff. I'm sure she's proud. She's just hurt because I guess maybe she didn't expect it to herself get hurt so much by what happened.
I kind of curl up, bringing my knees very tightly to my chest. How do you move forward from this? From the guilt?
Well, you try not to repeat it, to learn from it, and to do better next time.
What if I don't remember next time?
I will remind you. Next time, if you are going to be asked to do something that could potentially hurt someone that you care about, I will object, even if you might not like it. I promise you that.
Thank you.
Your sisters.
We're sisters.
Yes, and she's your mother, and she loves you.
Can we talk about something else now?
Of course. Well, do you want to know what Sigmund showed me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he has a house full of weird technical inventions. Some of them are, blow my mind. He's very intellectual and capable, to create various things from reading papers and from physicists and other scientists. It's very interesting, but you would never guess how much this man has behind the doors. It was very enlightening. Okay.
I know the meaning.
And he gave me some books that are in Russian, so I have to ask Nastya to help me translate it. But it's some medical science that could potentially help the mortals and kindred.
That's intriguing.
Yes, something about like blood, like getting blood from dead people and storing it for future use. I mean, I hope I will know more with Nastya.
That does sound worthwhile.
But the most interesting thing that I found out in Sigmund's house was there is a painting of Isidore from his mortal life in a uniform leading people. I guess it was like 19th century.
Sorry, which one's Isidore again?
It's the leader of the Anarch group.
Ah, right, thank you.
The handsome guy.
I look a bit blankly at that.
Okay. So that was, and he told me that Isidore did something. I mean, he offended the prince before he left last time, and that it was quite terrible, that the prince even almost considered to destroying him, but I guess it didn't happen, thankfully. But now he's back. Well, that's some juicy gossip I got from the primogen. So yeah.
It certainly is.
What about your meeting with the Ventru?
I relayed as much as I could. He asked me some pertinent questions about the Sabbat. I tried to provide the insights I had.
Okay.
I'm not sure how helpful it was. He seemed a little dismissive of some of the ideas that they have. I mean, understandably so, but I don't know. I worry that I think that they're going to attack here soon, and I think they're looking for something here.
Like what?
I don't know. I had a vision of a dark figure reaching for something bright and glowy, and
Right,
it was in the
glowy.
hotel. But I don't. It's unlikely to be literal. I mean,
Yeah. I guess there is no like shiny diamond that Sabbat wants.
Yes, that does seem a little unlikely. But
That's certainly interesting. So maybe it would be safer for us to spend more time in our haven.
True. Cornelia has been very kind to me recently.
Oh yeah,
She's been looking out for me and checking in with me.
I'm happy to hear that.
And I also met Mr. Bielewski.
Oh yeah.
I told him how much I appreciated him not mentioning.
Yeah.
I offered him help if he needs anything in the future.
Of course, I would like to help him more because I really do feel more warmer towards him now when I really know that he's a good person. I mean, good as much as we can be.
Yes, he's very dutiful. And I sort of look off to the side briefly.
Yeah. So, do you want to spend the evening here, or do you want to go anywhere?
I think
Are you
I've done enough.
hungry? Or-
Gosh, I suppose I should probably hunt. Otherwise, tomorrow is going to be unpleasant.
Yeah, I feel okay, but I guess it's better safe than sorry.
Yes.
I just don't know where Daniel is, so maybe we will have to manage without him.
How are you doing? Are you feeling?
I feel a bit better, mainly because I was really Sigmund really distracted me with all his inventions and the talks and the gossips. I appreciate having something else to think about, but we also crossed the park where we were attacked. So, I was thinking about Mara and also Oscar. He's the Malkavian that is still missing. So, well, but yeah, nothing. It's better to concentrate on things that are less sad, at least for a moment. So what do you say? Let's go out and about?
Out in the town. I'll just clean my face off first.
Sure. Okay.
Wash away some of the blood and then head out.
You head out from the hotel. You want to look for someone on the street?
Yes.
Yes. Somewhere further from the hotel.
Of course, that's going to be wit and alertness.
Okay.
Difficulty 7.
Oh my god, I got 2 successes. I'm so excited.
I have 1 because I had 3, but also two ones. So.
Do you want to find a person each, like last time?
Yes.
I think so,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. Well, it takes you a little bit of time. But eventually, you do come across 2 young guys just standing there smoking cigarettes in an archway of a partially collapsed building. Deep in conversation, you hear one of them laughing. They don't seem to pay much attention to what's happening around them.
So, what is our plan?
If you distract them, I could sneak up behind one.
Okay.
And then...
But you know that when I distract people, it doesn't usually end well.
Fair enough, then we'll not do that then. We'll learn from our mistakes. Would you like me to do the talking?
Okay, that could work.
Okay. In which case, pull out the old technique that I've not done in a while. Pull out a map and start arguing with Janina loudly about what street we're meant to be on. Well, not like too loudly, but just enough that they can hear it. No, I'm telling you, we're meant to be. I'm sure we were meant to turn back about 3 streets that way.
No, you're
manipulation and stuff. Which difficulty 6. To see how convincing you are.
Okay. I'm not trying to persuade them here, but that is a ludicrous. That's a ludicrous number of successes. That is
a botch. Don't worry about that.
I have 6 successes.
Yeah, no, they totally buy it. They come up. It's like, can we help you, ladies?
If you could, that would be wonderful. I'm so. I swear we got turned around about a few streets that way and start pulling out.
Yes, it is hard to navigate, but I'll show you. And he sort of leans over the map.
Where would we be without you?
And you can, bite in. You distract them so well they don't see it coming at all. So if you both want to go for it, you're absolutely welcome.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. That's great.
I'm not gonna make you roll for this because of how well Bea did on that. I'd say there's easily a way when they they start arguing with each other a little bit over like which would be the better way for you to go and which would be faster. And at that moment, you can bite in.
Okay.
How much do you take?
I always do. I can help.
I think none of you is like.
I had 7 before.
7 and you had 6. Yeah, you're okay.
Whew.
You'll stay in control. You feel them go limp as you bite in.
And then once we've closed the wounds and they're starting to come to, especially the gentleman that I presume I was feeding from, because I presume he will be on the floor because I cannot hold him up.
Yes, I think he would be on the ground, pretty dazed, but they are coming to slowly.
Leaning over them, looking concerned. Are you all right?
Oh, shit! What happened?
You just passed out there. Are you all right?
He looks
Have you been drinking?
No, just smoke. Maybe that's a shitty cigarette. The fact that you get those from, and he starts talking to his friend. I don't know. Like that guy at the building construction site had some. They were fine before. And they sort of start talking to each other, like about that.
Trying to politely excuse ourselves and thank them for all their help with the map.
I think you can leave, given how well you've done before. I think you can charm them, going off that role. They are a little bit confused as to what happened, but they don't really inquire with you. They don't suspect you for a second. And you leave them there.
That went well.
Surprisingly uneventful for us.
Yes. I like that. We deserve something uneventful once in a while.
I think so.
Do you want to head back or do you want to stroll for a bit?
Should we head back to our haven?
We could.
Maybe see if there's anything that we could pick up for the apartment. I don't know. If there's anything lying about, I guess. It's not like shops will be.
You can
let's bring her
go
up.
rummaging through the ruins in a search of something.
That seems like fun activity.
Why not? Roll perception and investigation. Difficulty will be. I think it will be 9 because it is dark and because people have been doing this.
That's fair. We're hardly the first.
What was the difficulty? Sorry.
9.
Okay.
I have 1 success.
I will use my heightened senses to increase my eyesight.
Okay, in this case, it would be 7, I think.
Okay.
Do you want to do that as well, Janina?
I did, and I have 1 success.
Okay. No, do you want to use your?
Oh no,
aspects?
it's okay. No, it's okay.
I have 4 successes.
Okay, so you go through the ruins, looking for some of the rubble, and you manage to find some trinkets. You do find some metal cups that have been slightly dented, but you are able to dig them out, and they are still not damaged as much as to be unusable. Is there anything else anything in particular interested in having for your haven?
I mean, if we could get a kettle too, that'd be great.
Together you had. You can get one. It is a little bit dented. It's a little bit damaged, I would say.
That's okay.
But you can find one. It's gonna take you a little bit of time going through different buildings, digging through some of the rubble. But yes, you can find a metal kettle and some metal cups.
Oh. New tea set.
It's very important to have traditions.
When you're done, it is fairly late already. So, I mean, it's not like that you have to, run, but it takes you, I think, most of the rest of the night.
Yes, just head back to the haven, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, so that was a productive use of our time.
I mean, at least we did something regular.
For ourselves.
Yeah. It was nice downtime.
It was nice to spend time with you. Not doing something traumatic.
Yes, and now we are going to have our haven for ourselves.
Yes.
Yes, you return there without any problems. It is as you left it.
Excellent. Get in, put the teacups. Is there like a little kitchen or?
Yes, there is. There is a little kitchen area.
Just leave them by the sink so we can start cleaning them up tomorrow. And otherwise, start going through the nightly routines.
You get ready and lie down to sleep. What are you thinking about, Bea? How are you feeling?
Just this aching grief at how much I have messed up my relationship with Felicia. How just the sort of biting, cold feeling that she felt towards me. That is just replaying. And then there's the idea that I did what I had to do for the Camarilla, and the conversation that I had with Anthony about us doing our duty, even if we don't necessarily always like it. And Janina saying that she'll call me out on it if I'm going to do something that'll hurt someone again. And it's just a mess of emotions. And I'm just exhausted.
You fall asleep, exhausted, feeling lots of various things. And you, Janina, what's going through your head? How are you feeling?
Well, I feel slightly better. I mean, I still feel guilty and sad for what happened and for everything that happened so far, but also feel it was like heartbreaking to see Bea like that in the bathroom, see her crying and like being so heartbroken over Felicia. And I mean everything what I said to her, because I do feel that Felicia will forgive her eventually. But it just still feels, it's just sad to watch, because I have been around them for a while and I always saw that, I thought that it was unbreaking bond, and now I saw that Bea, I mean, I haven't even seen Felicia really after what happened, so I don't really know, but from what Bea told me and how she looked, it seemed like Felicia is really hurt, which I understand, because I understand her grief and her need to process. But like there is maybe a little part of me that feels like she got what she deserved, because if it was the other way and she had to do something like this to Bea, she would do it and wouldn't. And I don't think she wouldn't like regret it. But I do feel like sorry.
And with that, you fall asleep. You can both regain a point of willpower.
I will have 1.
Well, it's better than 0.
Yeah, definitely.
You can also lose your blood for the night.
My heart, okay, this time it wasn't hard earned, but
Yeah.
it was basically Bea's hard work.
Yes, but you both benefited from it.
Yeah.
And Bea, please roll for your nightmares, difficulty 7.
I really hope you will roll well.
Well,
What I
let's
will
find
do
out.
with you alone without Felicia's help.
Let's find out. Oh no, you're fine. I've got 3 successes.
Okay.
So you sleep relatively calmly. But Janina, you are the first one to wake up.
Okay, I guess it maybe there's like a few seconds before I realize that we are in our haven and not in the hotel. And I see that Bea's there, and I remember like the conversations we had. And I will probably just look at her for a moment and then go to the kitchen area and start to clean the things that we found yesterday to just occupy my time.
So you clean the things. They are, slightly damaged, but perfectly usable. And you wait a little bit more, and Bea then wakes up.
Good morning, beautiful. I mean, evening, but for us it's like morning.
Good evening. It's good to see you. Sort of glance around the room.
It's our new haven.
It feels vaguely familiar. Vaguely. It'll get there.
Yeah, if you spend more time here, I'm sure you'll feel more at home here.
No, it always
Also,
takes a while.
especially since we have these, and I will show her. This is our new tea set that we found yesterday.
Now the question is, do we have any tea?
I guess not, but we can boil water and pretend it's tea. I mean, we won't know the difference.
True enough. Hard to do a tea reading without the tea leaves, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, if you want, we can, if we remember, maybe at the hotel, we can get our hands on some tea.
I cannot wait to see the look on someone's face when we ask for tea. Oh well. Well, maybe. But
Do we have anything tonight? I don't think we do, but,
nothing pressing for... let me check. I go through my notebook.
I think I would remember something like important, so I guess there's nothing. So we are free to do anything we want. I mean, in a set of rules and things we can do. Is there anything you would like me or for us to do together? Something that would make you feel better?
I think as Janina's been talking, I've been glancing back through my notes, and the feeling of sort of nagging pain in my chest has been there, and I'm refreshing my memory. I think some space would do us good, maybe a quiet evening.
All right.
Maybe see about making this place feeling a bit more homely.
Of course, we can do that.
And I sort of put my notebook to the side, regretting reading it. What did we used to do back?
I guess we just chilled and hang out, hunted, then came home. I mean, Mara provided a lot of entertainment. I mean, if we had maybe we could find something to have some music here. So I don't know, it would feel more like her energy was here.
That would be nice. Should we maybe check out the area?
Sure, let's go. I don't think we really check it out before.
Yes. See the neighborhood.
Yeah, maybe we'll start deep.
You go for a walk around neighborhoods. You do not find any tea. You find a lot of buildings like the one where your flat is. Sort of 3, 4, some 5-stories tall blocks of flats. Some houses and villas in this area as well. This is south from the Praga district where you were before. And it has been relatively undamaged. So there is a lot of pre-war building that have just survived.
Mm-hmm.
There is quite a bit of trees growing along the streets. There's a few people walking around. It's a fairly residential area, fairly quiet. Is there anything in particular you're looking for, or are you just taking in the atmosphere?
Yes, I think sort of taking in the atmosphere, maybe looking for sort of, I don't know, local hotspots, if there's any like bars or music venues, just seeing if there's anything where people sort of congregate.
There's quite a music venue around here. But there is sort of a makeshift bar near the river. It basically consists of a person with a street stall selling some beers, and some people congregate around there.
Okay.
See, it's mostly men looking like they've been working at construction sites during the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, otherwise just taking in the atmosphere and trying to get a read for the place.
Is there like maybe some like bench around with some trees where we could like sit and just for a moment, just, I don't know, sit and relax?
Would there be a bench at the time? Yeah, sure, why not? There could be like an old bench. You can relax, some time passes. How are you both feeling in that moment? Just having a moment of respite. Janina,
I feel
how are you?
calmer. I really enjoy spending time with Bea and doing something like ordinary, like just spending time with my sister, bonding and enjoying her company without having to think about hard questions and hard decisions. And I feel human in that moment, I guess.
And how are you feeling, Bea?
Utterly lost. I don't know how to relax, I'm finding. I've been so focused on doing my duty and doing jobs for the Camarilla and channeling myself into that I find myself growing more anxious with each sort of moment. Like, I'm mostly trying to keep it under wraps, and it's just this sort of growing feeling of I don't know what I'm doing. I have no purpose at the moment, and I don't know how to deal with that. But I'm watching people, and I guess I'll glance up at the sky and try to get a feel of what's going to be coming for us in the next few nights, and look for some omens.
Roll your perception and awareness. Difficulty 8, let's say.
Okay. Okay. I have 3 successes.
3 successes.
Mm-hmm.
So you look up, look at the stars. Few of them that you can see. Well, it's quite dark in the city right now. The stars are more visible. There is a little bit of clouds. And you look at the patterns of clouds moving across the sky, and they move faster and then slow down and faster. Changing shapes, surrounding the skies. The stars in the sky, covering some of the starlight, and covering more, and gathering a little bit more. And you know there is some trouble coming, something catching up with you. Maybe not with you as such, someone near you. And you also see a possibility of a search. Which might lead to danger.
I pull out my journal and start noting that down in what little light I have.
I just watch Bea writing things down, and I don't want to interrupt her, so she didn't lost the moment. So I just watch her write it down, but I don't think I try to read what she's writing. I'm just watching her as she's writing.
I think something's coming.
You mean something dangerous? It was a vision?
Just good old-fashioned reading the clouds.
So interesting. If I tried to read the sky, I would definitely be influenced by what I want to see. So
it's more an art than a science.
Yeah.
I think some sort of trouble is catching up to someone. Not sure who yet.
Do you think it's someone at the hotel?
I think it's someone close to me, but I don't know who. So you're welcome, I guess.
Well, troubles seem to like me, or maybe it's not me. Maybe it's someone else.
Who knows? I think there's going to be a search soon. I don't know what for, but...
Well, that's good to know.
Keep our eyes peeled.
Yeah. That could mean so many things.
Mm.
Do you want to relay this to Anthony?
I don't think it's quite enough information to bother the sheriff's people with, but...
Well, let's keep digging. Maybe we'll see more, and then we will have something to provide.
Indeed. And I kind of look away again, sort of lost in thought for a moment.
What do you think about Anthony?
I like him. He seems... I focus on my memories for a minute. What can I stir up?
Just the similarity. I think that's something that would maybe stick. That you felt with him when you looked into him.
I feel he feels familiar to me. I think I might have more in common with him than I initially thought.
I mean, that's probably good, because he seemed like a very decent person, and you as well. And I see some similarity in both of you. Some, maybe not as much. But I guess I got to know him quite well from his reactions and how he dealt with everything that happened. And I really wish I hadn't done what I did. I mean, he really deserves more.
And I sort of look away. There's a faint smile on my face when you say that.
Do you spend more time on a bench? Do you eventually head back? Or do you wish to go somewhere else?
I don't think we have anywhere else to go.
Maybe head back to the haven after a little while.
So when you get back to the haven, you see Daniel sitting outside on the ground, outside the door.
Oh no.
Oh, hey.
He looks to you, waits before he even stands up. Hello.
Hey.
Finally show your faces.
Oh no,
Oh.
I'm so sorry. Were you waiting long?
I waited. I looked for you yesterday at the hotel, but you left, I guess. Then I came here. When I woke up, you were gone.
Oh dear. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
It's all
so,
right.
I mean, we should keep better tabs on each other.
Well, at least we're all safe, I suppose, in one piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
He stands up.
Let's come
So,
inside.
Yes.
Sure, why not? And he follows you inside.
Does he have a key to our haven?
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
We'll have to get him one.
Yeah, we have to get you the key.
Yes.
Yeah, I can probably find someone to copy that for me.
Right.
If you give me one
Of
or a
course.
bit. But listen, Janina, I wanted to speak with, well, I guess with both of you. I talked to Isidore and Zoya,
Yes.
and somehow they agreed to speak to you about looking for Oscar, and
That's great news. I mean,
I guess they are ready to work together. He looks to you, Bea. You're welcome, of course, if you want to help. I don't know if that's your sort of thing.
I'm willing to help.
and I look at her. She can use distraction.
Yes. I'm not much good in a fight, but I'm all right at finding things.
Well, I suppose any help we can get. Given some of them. Well, anyway, they're ready to talk. So,
Right. So
they're at Hotel Bristol whenever.
Well, should we go sooner rather than later?
I guess so. I mean, I worry about Oscar, and I really hope we have a chance to save him. So, I mean, the sooner it can be done, the better.
This might be the search, they say.
And I look at Bea.
Daniel
Yes.
just looks like, the hell.
I'm looking to Janina with a sort of expectation for her to understand.
And
Yeah,
I
he
nod,
doesn't question you on this. He's
Yeah.
just a bit confused.
and I just nodded. Bea.
Yes. Well then.
I mean, let's go. We didn't even enjoy our haven much. But look at this, and I show Daniel the kettle, and that's what we got for our new haven.
Good for you, I suppose. I'm not going to ask what do you plan to do with those.
It's just, for a sense of tradition and home. We used to have this at home, at
I
our
suppose
haven
that's
before.
nice.
Now we just boil water in it because we don't have tea.
Well, I think various things are hard to come by nowadays.
Yeah.
Could try to nick some from the hotel. They have all sorts of fancy shit there.
Yeah, that crossed my mind. Okay.
Yeah, well, try to get on that later. Although I'm not.
It's
Never
not a
really
high
was
priority.
much of a
Yeah.
thief. Shall we?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go. And I will look once again at the haven, like before we go away, like, just to say goodbye.
Yeah, a sense of normalcy.
It didn't last long.
No.
Say goodbye to the sense of normality, if I got
Yeah.
that correctly.
Yep.
And follow Daniel, crossing the Poniatowski Bridge to the other side of the river. And returning to Hotel Bristol.
Feeling quite relieved to be having something to do.
I thought so.
Yeah. And Bea is just relieved to not be left with her thoughts much longer.
Yeah, Janina probably isn't as much like, she doesn't look forward to what is going to happen, but she wants to really like help saving Oscar, so that's what drives her.
So Daniel, as if the princess, you start walking up the stairs. I'll take you to them. I just want to. I'll stop by the Elysium and tell Nina. I guess she has the right to know.
Of course. She was there the night before. Maybe she still will be there. I guess she's around Toriaders.
She's with her clan. I guess I can't blame her. Still do though. And he starts walking towards the lounge. Are you following? Do you go inside?
Probably, yes, but I think if Bea doesn't want to go inside, I will wait with her just in the front of the lounge.
I'll glance in, but not sort of go in.
You glance in. You still don't see Bruno there or Felicia.
That's fine.
What a bummer.
You see Cornelia. You see Dominic just sitting there reading. You see Nastya in the corner sitting there. And you indeed see Nina sitting there with Stefania. And you see Daniel come up there. And Mihail flashed him a smile. And Daniel just kind of nods and then looks straight at Nina and says something. And she almost looks like she wants to stand up. And Stefania puts her hand on her hand and smiles at her. And Nina looks to her and also smiles at Daniel. Says something. And he just shrugs and turns around and starts walking towards you.
When we are out of the lounge, like, she didn't want to come. I mean, she seemed like she did, but I guess they talked her out of it.
Well, reasons quite directly. I think she wanted to come. She just doesn't. She seems awfully scared of them, if you ask me.
Yeah, well,
they're quite intimidating.
Especially there to please for my taste, but then I don't give a shit what they think. They don't like me anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the only one I dislike from the Toriaders is the primogens.
I give her a look.
Well, we are outside of the lounge.
I still give you a look.
I just...
Daniel leads you. He turns into one of the back corridors where the offices are, and then down the stairs. And he knocks at the door. And the door opens, and you see Isidore standing there in the doorway. He's wearing a white shirt and dark trousers. You see he's mostly healed, but you see on his head, running through some of his forehead, part of his head and above on his head is not quite a scar, but like still there remains a little bit of an almost healed wound now. And smiles. Welcome.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming. Please, come in. I will go get Zoya.
Of course.
He looks to you. Beatrice, thank you so much for your help so far.
Of course.
And for coming. And he looks to you, Janina, and his face tenses a little bit.
I will probably drop my gaze like on the ground.
I hope we can work together
I hope so.
to help Oscar.
I really want to help him. And I appreciate you letting me try to repair at least a tiny bit of all the damage that we did.
And he leaves. There are a few chairs inside and a bed you can sit on. There isn't really much in here in terms of things. And he returns a moment later with Zoya, who enters very tense. You see she is holding her hands in front of her. You see again the sort of reddish, dry scar-like things on her hands, running into her forearms. And she takes one of the chairs and just sits on it. Looks to both of you, looks a little bit longer to you, Janina.
I'm probably I'm not meeting her eyes.
All right, shall we get to it? I don't think there's point in wasting time pretending we particularly like each other. Daniel says something like, Zoya, please. And then she just looks at him and he shuts up and shakes his head. Right. Isidore and Daniel are almost healed. So we are ready to start acting. And you see her basically, everyone listening to her. Isidore is also sitting and listening to her, looking to her.
I'm also listening very intently.
What kind of contribution can we expect from you two?
I can provide, if you need locations, I can find things. I can also read omens and get some insights that way.
Isidore says that's how we were able to locate you. And she looks to him and smiles a bit mischievously. Yes, and you almost got yourselves killed. And he just kind of laughs it off a little bit, and you see Daniel looks a little bit embarrassed at that.
I can also get into places without being seen.
I'm sure we will have a need for that. We don't have much in terms of that amongst ourselves. Janina,
Well, I don't know
How good
much.
of a muscle are you? I didn't have a
Well,
chance to see.
I mean, I can be pretty strong, and I'm willing to give everything I've got to try and do everything I can to help get him out.
I'm glad you can at least do that.
Do my best.
And you see Isidore put a hand on her hand and sort of squeeze her arm a little bit. She looks to him and kind of takes a moment, calms down. At this point, there is a knocking on the door. And you hear Nina's voice. Can I come in? And they all look, Isidore just looks a little bit stunned. Daniel eventually says, yeah, come in, it's open. And Nina steps in.
I smile.
Zoya, you smile at her. She smiles at you, and at you, Janina. But mostly looks to Bea and then fixates on Isidore. And they're just looking at each other for a moment. And Zoya turns back in her chair, looks to Nina. So you showed up after all. Nina opens her mouth. Zoya continues. Did your new master give you permission to come here? Or are you ready to hang out with us again, all on your own? And you see her giving very intense stare to Nina. And Nina steps in. She is wearing a dark, elegant dress and a string of pearls on her neck. She was looking very similar to Stefania in style at this moment. And she just starts saying, I'm sorry, I can't quite. At which point Isidore just says, I don't care, I'm glad you're here. And he comes up to her and puts an arm around her. And they kiss and just wrap arms around each other. And you see her start weeping. What are you feeling, thinking, witnessing all that?
I'm looking away. Not entirely sure how to react to this sort of display of public affection.
Janina.
I think I'm pretty happy to see them reconcile, and I always feel like good when I see people being like intimate and expressing affection towards each other.
Two opposite responses as usual.
As usual. They take a little bit of time, after which Zoya says, charming as it is, you will have plenty of time when we're done talking. Probably less of an audience. And you see Isidore giggles a little bit at that. And
I'm
even
definitely
Nina
looking
giggles a little bit.
I think I'm looking at the ceiling at this point.
And they sit down as well, near one another. Isidore says, you're right, of course. We should try to at least decide on something. I think we need to assume that Oscar has been taken by the Sabbat. I would like this not to be the case, but it is safer to be prepared for the worst case scenario, especially given how much the carelessness that he glances to Daniel and Zoya costed us when we blindly went searching before.
While he's talking, I look to each member of this group that was closely knit and tied to Oscar, and I'd like to use Eyes of Chaos and try to see what is happening with him.
Of course, you roll your perception in a cold. Difficulty 8.
I have 2 successes.
The successors. So you look to all this group focusing on Oscar, and you start seeing almost a red tint to everything. And you see they were closely knit to Oscar. And you imagine the ties, you try to focus on them, and for a moment you see, not between them, but just they all disappear from your sight, leaving the redness, and you see the ties, like tendons and muscles, stretched in a pattern. And you hear a scream, and you feel pain and fascination and delight. And for a moment, how many successes did you have? 2. You glimpse a figure amid the redness, stretching out a hand.
Do I get a glimpse of what they look like?
You don't quite get a glimpse of what they look like. You think it is a feminine figure with long hair.
I think during this, especially when the scream happened, I sort of jolted, and then as there was sort of the feeling of pain and delight, I'm sort of sitting there sort of clutching at my chest. Wherever he is, I don't think it's good. I'm sorry.
Isidore looks to you. Oh, sorry, what did you want to say?
I get feelings of pain and interest and delight, and there's a feminine figure reaching out. I'm afraid that's not the most helpful thing I could say, but that's what I see.
Zoya, fixate, like her eyes on you. Do you think it's that bitch who attacked us?
Long hair?
Yes.
That's about as much as I got.
Fuck. But then what did we expect?
At least you have
Alright.
some experience.
Well, she glances to you. She was there. She attacked us all. You were there. She killed my friend.
I'm sorry.
That's her.
There's a moment where she says she attacked us, and I briefly have this moment of surprise because I don't remember this, but I try to cover it as quickly as I can.
As she says she killed my friend, her eyes dart to you, Janina, for a moment. But she doesn't make any comment. Oh. All right, as Isidore said, Zoya continues. We should assume he's been taken by Sabat or whatever that person is, but I think they are Sabat. I think we can fairly safely assume that. I know you gave the general area where he was. I think it would be prudent to examine this area more closely, like Isidore said. Locate Oscar. Observe the place where he is being held, and then plan our next moves accordingly. We won't be able to have a more direct plan. There are certain dangers we need to be aware of. Do you know what a Zimishi is?
Would I know?
Roll your intelligence on a call with difficulty 8.
I know nothing.
I have 2 successes.
2 successes. You get a vague recollection of Felicia mentioning something like this in relation to manipulating flesh and generally bad news when it comes to kindred.
The flesh crafters?
Yes. Generally unpleasant bastards. We all had an encounter with one who came to our place, and she glances at you, Janina. How are you feeling at this moment? What is going through your head?
Well, guilty. It's always guilt. I'm just picking what I'm gonna be guilty about. Right now, I'm guilty about what happened at the park, because I remember. And we set up a meeting with someone we thought was a Nosferatu. And, well, I guess now I know that it was not a Nosferatu. Well, I mean, I figured it probably wasn't after it attacked us, because it didn't look exactly like that, but I guess it has a name now. And yes, I feel very bad.
And Zoya explained to you a little bit about flesh crafting, about not letting them touch you if you can help it. And you see on her face that as she talked, there is some fear there, definitely, under the anger and pain. And she doesn't quite hide her fear at facing that. After that, she asks, do you know what an Assamite is?
Nope.
Well, that's the bitch who attacks us, according to Sigmund. And if he says that, I believe him. Isidore knows his head at that. He looked at my and Daniel's wounds and figured as much. He warned us against them. Says their blood is poison. I believe that's what they've done. Or what she's done. To make her wounds heal so slowly. Zoya says, Sigmund also says they can do. Again, things we don't really know much about or aren't used to. He said to avoid letting them touch you as well. Says that if they touch you, you might think you got away and then die later, your body just turning to dust. Daniel just looks. I still think that sounds like bullshit, if I'm honest. I think he's just trying to scare us from going for it.
I prefer to assume it's possible and plan against.
Isidore says, I don't think Sigmund would lie to us in this matter, nor deceive us in such a way. Zoya thinks, I agree. Well, it sounds wrong, but so much is wrong about our existence already. I prefer to plan for the worst. I can rig some explosives once we know what we're dealing with. Procure some weapons. But I think the wisest strategy will be to observe the place and then try to get in and get Oscar when they're distracted, busy with something else. Definitely not when both of those fuckers are inside. Any thoughts? She sort of gestures in general.
I don't have much experience in this, so I'm willing to listen to the experts. I say, looking around the room.
And I'm not saying anything, just shake my head.
She looks to you. Janina, you're sure you don't have any bright ideas to contribute?
And I sigh and just say no. But I'm not looking at her. I don't really want to make eye contact with her.
She looks to Nina. Nina. Nina looks down at her hands for a moment. I've never been a fighter. I can help. I'd like to help as much as I can. I really want him to be safe. But I'm not. And you see that she is terrified and not hiding it and a little bit embarrassed about it, but just almost about to lose it. And Isidore just puts an arm around her.
It's okay. Then I give her a smile.
She smiles back at you. Isidore, having hugged her for a little bit, reaches into a drawer by the bed, takes out a map, and puts it on his legs, or like on his hands in the middle. This is a map I got from there. This is the area marked. I think we should head there. Tonight might be too late.
Do you want me to double check whether he's still there? In case they've moved him.
I appreciate that.
Very well. And I'll reach into my pocket. And pull out whatever comes to hand, in which case it's sort of sewing equipment that I've kept with me. And pull out some string, snap it off, and then sort of hold it over the map, feel where it's being pulled, and then drop it.
And you drop it and roll your perception and awareness with difficulty 8.
Oh boy. Does insightful apply?
Yes. Let's say so.
Okay, then 5 successes.
5 successes, so you drop it. And it falls in this general area. It is the same sort of area.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to narrow it down a little bit as being
Perfect.
a bit further south.
Okay. In which case, I pull out I then use my finger to put the string in a sort of direct this is the area we want. I think we've narrowed it a bit further as well. It should be here.
Zoya just is observing you very closely. So is Isidore. Isidore says, "Thank you. That is much more helpful. Looking at the map, it is quite far. I don't think it's wise going there tonight. We wouldn't have much time, and we don't know of possible shelter in the area.
Out of character, where is our haven in relation to?
On the other side of the river, and a bit further north. This place is south, heading from the Sigmund, further away.
Okay.
Like you would pass the Łazienki Park, pass the place where Sigmund had his house, go further south.
Okay.
It's not super far from the river, but your haven is on the other side of the river and further north.
That's fine. So not a useful location. That's fine.
Not quite, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. In which case, I don't say anything.
Yeah. And they start, making plans to go there, scout out the area, look for a place where they could maybe stay if need arose, if they needed to retreat and, to not waste time. And there is a knocking at the door.
Shall I get that?
It's all right, I will. And Isidore stands up and goes to get it. And he opens the door. And just freezes for a moment. And you hear him. Mr. Topolsky. How may I help you? Elka. And you hear at first Lucian Topolsky, the sheriff. Count Gerbowski, always a pleasure. Forgive me for interrupting your meeting, but I need to speak with Janina and Daniel for a moment. As soon as possible.
I glance at Daniel.
Daniel looks like... I guess we should go, Janina.
Yeah, of course. Let's not make the main wait.
I'm looking between you very curiously.
And I just shrug it.
Isidore opens the door a bit more. It's like, is there a problem? We are just discussing matters of helping our friends. And Lucian says, I will return them to you when possible. And you see Zoya just lock her eyes on Elka, and Elka look at Zoya, and they both look like they're about to say something, but just staring at each other. And these are not friendly stares.
Good. Great.
And Lucian steps in a little bit. Janina, Daniel, if you please, follow me. We have some things to discuss.
I'm trying in my head, like, I'm following, but I'm trying in my head, trying to think what this could be about.
What trouble have you gotten yourself into?
Yeah.
I watch them leave nervously.
And they leave.
And now I'm left in a room full of anarchs on my own.
And you are left in a room full of anarchs on your own. What is going through your head, Bea, as that happens?
Wondering what the sheriff wants with them. Wondering whether this is a problem that Janina has caused, or whether this is trouble or whether this is just something else. I guess I'm just feeling a lot of anxiety. There's been a lot of anxiety recently. It's just continuing, steadily building.
Isidore looks to you. Are you quite all right? Yeah.
Fine, just nervous.
I believe we made, well, at least some agreement to work together. Thank you for your help. I won't keep you any longer, I know. This is probably not the most familiar company for you.
That's all right. And do let me know when you're wanting to head out. I'd like to provide assistance where I can.
Zoya says, I think we can do just initial reconnaissance tomorrow. If you're willing.
Yes,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
of course. And I'll stand up and excuse myself.
And where do you head?
I have no idea.
So you just stand there for a moment.
No, I will leave the room and try to remember how we got to this part of the hotel, and start heading back up towards the lounge, I guess.
You start wandering
Yeah.
for your way back towards the lounge. Meanwhile, Janina, you follow with Daniel. Daniel is just looking to you a little.
And I'm looking to him like,
hell.
I don't know. I just
Lucian and Alka need you into they go up a few flights of stairs and lead you into an office. Lucian says, please sit down.
Well, I do as he says.
There are chairs and he sits in an armchair and Elka sits on his right side. Janina, I asked your sire to be here as well because there's few things we need to discuss. There's been 2 things brought to my attention. One, a woman came to the hotel, an older woman, asking about you, claiming you can provide her with a place to live here.
I'm trying to remember. I mean,
You
I
would
think
remember that you gave some blood to a woman and then they gave her all the info on how to locate you. And you did make some vague promises of finding her a place to live at the time.
Yes. But I didn't mean like in the hotel. I meant that I'm going to try to.
Yeah, but you
her.
told her you lived at the hotel.
Okay. Right.
There's also another issue. Some gossip reached our ears about a tall, red-haired woman wearing, and he describes more or less your clothes, attacking someone in the streets and biting into their neck.
Do I remember that? Because that happened many times.
I don't know. Janina wouldn't have known. But you, as a player, may remember the time when you botched your hunting roll and then it all went smoothly. Well, it didn't quite. It was some few sessions ago.
I swear to God, I can remember.
It did happen.
Good news.
I trust you. I trust you.
Alex, remember for you.
What exactly happened? Because
you drank from a woman and left her there. But apparently someone saw it.
Okay, was I with Bea or with Daniel or alone?
With Daniel. You were with Daniel.
Okay. Sorry, I don't remember. It happened so many times
that
time. I don't remember. Okay.
Do you happen to know anything about that, Lucian?
Oh, I look at Daniel.
You look to Daniel. Daniel looks to you. What's going through your head? How are you feeling right now?
Well, I feel, I guess, like a scolded child. Like that, I made some troubles and I was caught up in it. And I don't know, I just wanted to, part of me was just to say, yeah, I did it so well. But I know that this is not probably that I had probably be more like humble and like.
Daniel looks to you.
Well, I guess I did have some accident. I don't remember it clearly. I think I frenzied on the street.
Does that happen often? Asks Lucian.
Well,
At
not.
which point Daniel stands up and just puts an arm on you. I am her sire. I take a responsibility for this.
No, you don't have to.
No, I do. I never released you. I am your sire, and I am responsible for your actions.
I just roll my eyes. Well,
And he kind of puts a hand on your arm. You roll your eyes. He looks to Lucian. I will take responsibility. She's my child.
You don't have to, Daniel, really. This was my fault. I mean, I frenzied. That happened. I'm trying to be better now and feed more frequently. So this didn't happen again. But it's not your fault. And I don't think you should be responsible for what I did. I'm a grown person.
Lucian looks to you. You may think that. But in light of our laws,
I have a feeling to wanting to roll my eyes, but I try not to.
you should consider it, Janina. You are beginning to be known as a troublemaker.
Yeah.
You say you try to control your frenzies. That's good. You clearly gave out our location. I don't know what happened between you and Antoni, and I won't inquire out of respect for him, but I know something happened. Your sire claims responsibility for you. Don't cause him any further trouble.
I just nod my head. I apologize for all the trouble that I cause. I really don't want Daniel to be hurt in any of this.
Daniel just looks to you, Janina. Please. And he looks to Lucian. Whatever you are going to do, I will take responsibility. And he stands and sort of almost like not quite in front of you, but partially in front of you. What is going through your head right now?
I don't want Daniel. Like, I appreciate that what he's trying to do, but I hate when I cause trouble and people let me get away with it. I hate it because I want to be held responsible, because I feel responsible and I don't want anyone else to. I want to be accountable for what I did. So I'm mad at him, especially since it's him and I care about him and I don't care about what happens to me. So I'm angry.
Lucian considers for a moment. Looks to you very closely. Looks to Daniel. Very well. Daniel, from this moment, you will be at Elka's disposal, serving her and helping her in her duties. You will also take some of her blood and obey her.
I don't want Daniel to do this. Please, let me do this. This is my fault.
Wait, Janina, shut up, says Daniel.
And I push him away, you shut up.
Lucian looks to you. Janina. And he stands up and comes closer towards you. Let me give you a little bit of friendly advice. Your sire is right in the fact that he's never released you. He has been pardoned for embracing you without permission, but your actions reflect on him, and he will be held accountable for your actions.
This is not fair. If you want
May
me
not
to
be
grow,
fair, but it is how it is.
you want me to
And
be...
I would advise you to keep that in mind before you continue talking. And Janina, please, for once, be quiet.
Oh, I'm very angry.
And he looks to Lucian. I'll do it. And Lucian nods his head. I would expect nothing less. And he gestures to Elka, who takes out a little knife. Looks to Daniel. Let's not make it any more painful than it has to be. He just nods his head. She slices her wrist and just gives him, sort of raises her hand, his mouth, and he looks to you for a moment. Roll empathy and perception. Why not? Difficulty 6.
I have no successes.
No? You have no idea what he's thinking. You just see some frustration there and some worry. And then he drinks.
And I just roll my eyes. I just sit there and I'm trying to escape the urge to just bolt out of there and shut the door behind me. But I'm trying not to.
And Lucian says, I believe Daniel and Elka will have some things to discuss. You can go now, Janina.
And I'm not giving him not even a look or a glance. I'm just, without a word, just leaving. And I'm shutting the door, but maybe not like very, but like slowly but angrily.
Slowly, angrily. Shut the door. What's running through your head? Where do you go?
I probably go outside the hotel because I need to blow up some steam and I'm angry and I need to punch something. Not a person, but
So you go
if there's
outside.
like rubble or something, I can.
You can go inside some of the, remains of the houses and find some rubble to punch there.
Yeah, and I probably scream a bit too, just to release a bit of anger, because I'm sick. I'm sick of these rules and these people. I mean, there are people that I like in there, but just the whole thing, the rules, I'm getting fed up. And now Daniel because I don't think it's right he doesn't have to take responsibility for my actions. I'm just so angry. I probably throw some rubble around the walls, destroy a bit more. And then I just sit and cry in the rubble for a moment.
Accomplish quite a lot of distraction, more than a human would be able to. And sit. You may notice it. You may not. You sit there, crying. And I think this is a good moment to end the session. Thank you so much for playing. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. We really appreciate having you with us. We hope you enjoyed this episode that started off more calmly, but didn't quite stay that way. We will have, due to some scheduling issues because of life, a little bit more of a break now, and we will be back on what would have been our regular episode after this episode, which was supposed to be next week. So we will be back on the 12th of April at the same time, 6:30. I think it will be British summertime by then. Yes. And we hope to see you again, joining us to continue the story of Bea and Janina. Thank you so much for watching us.
Thank you so much
for all those episodes, and see you in 3 weeks this time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.